Clee Tillman. He is a son, a father, a brother, a law officer, an accomplished author.
And 4 over and out.
Time now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Sound check, 1 2 1 2. I'm gonna do this. Can you guys hear me doubled up? How about now? Put a 1 in the comment section if you guys can hear me. 1 in the comment section if you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. All right, you can hear me? Perfect. Gotcha. We transition to motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker, Coach Clee, coming at you. We transition from the lab all the way to black and blue. We're on black and blue because we like to highlight the experience, the evaluations, and the knowledge of rookie officers, seasoned officers, and retired police officers here in the United States and throughout the world as well. And we learn a lot of things. You know, COVID was a huge eye opener for all of us, and we got to see a lot of different things and a lot of different perspectives. So we like to highlight those experiences and share those experiences with us. But, you know, like I said, it's a transition. Yeah, I know you can see double because I want to make sure that there's 2 different angles, 2 different cameras going on, and I want to make sure I'm not sure which one the sound is picking up on. I don't want to lose you guys. You guys see the website and workwithclee.com is posted in the comment section, and it's on the website right listed below, scrolling down at the bottom. Make sure if you guys want to be highlighted on the show, make sure you fill out a registration form on that website as well. You can register for the books that One Way Publishing, you see a few of them behind me, register and order some of the books right there. Want to give a shout out to One Way Publishing because they are one of our sponsors. We also want to give a shout out to our another one of our sponsors, which is MG4 Tech, and make sure you guys check them out as well because they can help you with your online needs. If you need to go ahead and get your own flyers, platforms, things up like that, websites, he can help you out with that. All right. We are on 4 platforms right now. We're currently streaming on Coach Clee Facebook, Black and Blue Facebook. We're on Clee Tillman LinkedIn. We are on Clee Tillman also on YouTube. So make sure you guys tag, like, share, and subscribe to all those things, because we're going to have informative and interactive interview going on today. I got a special guest. He's in the background right now. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. You guys saw who the flyer was. It's Chief Cyrus Robinson. I'll introduce him in a moment. I got to talk about these sponsors. Like you already saw, One Way Publishing is a sponsor. One of our clients, Marion Small, one of the clients from One Way Publishing, created his own children's book. His children's book discusses finances, financial literacy, and it just got accepted into one of the high school branches. So I'm going to show you guys that. Check this out and give him a shout out, man. His link for the book is in the comment section as well. So make sure you guys check that out after the live. Stay tuned. One Way Publishing introduces published author Marion Small.
What a man does.
Okay.
So whenever I figured that out, I'm like, okay, what is a man? So what I came up with is a man is a current state of being. So and the type of
what's the name of your book?
Cornell buys his first pair of sneakers.
There it is.
The book in summary is about Cornell, of course, who learns financial management through his parents, through buying his first pair of sneakers, and the journey to actually understanding what money is and obtaining the goal to get rich and not look rich.
Since being published, his book has been enjoyed by many. It has even been entered into the school library of the Jimmy Tyler Brashear Elementary School. Give your kids the opportunity to succeed in life and get your copy now.
Subscribe now.
All right, and it is a Friday night for those of us who are watching live. I know there's a lot of things going on. It's a beautiful day, so I appreciate the time that you guys are decided to share with us in this interview. And without further ado, we have Navy veteran, currently has served 38 years in law enforcement, originally from New York, has worked in various departments. He is currently and actively the chief of police at Port Richey, Florida Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce Chief Cyrus Robinson. Chief, you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Thank you for joining us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, as you mentioned, I was born in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Queens, New York. That's still where all my family's living. And I attended high school and graduated at Jamaica High School in New York. That's also in Queens.
Gotcha.
As also mentioned, I've been in law enforcement 38 years, 31 years at the Hernando County Sheriff's Office just prior to coming here. And I've been the chief of police in Port Richey for 2 years.
Okay. And what officially got you in police work?
Well, honestly, when I was growing up, I had no intentions of becoming a law enforcement officer. I didn't have any negative interaction with the local NYPD officers. They're very kind and courteous, and they would play with us over out in the street.
Mm-hmm.
I still did not know exactly what I wanted to do, so I enlisted in the Navy upon graduation from high school at 17, and figured maybe I could find that calling or where it is and what I wanted to do as I got older. I tested very well for the ASVAB test, the entry test you have for the military.
Mm-hmm.
present time, they were doing what was called the Boost program, and that was to encourage black men to become officers. And
Okay.
needless to say, what I was told by the recruiter is not actually what happened. So after I went to basic training and graduated from my A school, I went out to the fleet, served on USS Nimitz, and I was called down to personnel, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna get you started in this program. You have to do a year and a half of prep school in San Diego, another 4 years in the Naval Academy, and then you owe us 5 years." So at 18 years old, I was saying that's not what my recruiter told me. And you want me to give you 10 and a half years, and I've been in 6 months. So I said, yeah, that's probably not going to be what I do. So I finished my tour, got my honorable discharge as an E5, and moved on with my life. Ironically, my first negative interaction with law enforcement was while I was still in the Navy. And it really wasn't a big deal, but it did affect me. I were celebrating a birthday. We were in a park. We knew the park closed at 12. And so there was no drugs. There was nothing, no loud music, none of those things. And we were just celebrating one of the guys' birthdays. We knew it was about 10 minutes to 12. So we said, let's go. Cleaned up, got in the car, started to back out. And an unmarked car pulled in behind us and blocked us in. They never got out. Just told us to stay in the vehicles, and they waited for a marked car to show up. Once that marked car showed up, and then they searched the vehicles. Of course, they didn't find anything, and then they wanted us to give us a citation for being in the park after dark, even though they kept us in the park after dark. So I didn't think that was the right. I was going to fight the citation, but I had a 6-month cruise to go on. So the Navy liaison officer said, you're probably better off just letting it go and just go on with it. So I did, begrudgingly I did. And as I said, it changed my perception of law enforcement at that particular moment, that one incident. But it didn't deter me from being a law enforcement officer. When I did get my discharge, I already had a wife and 2 small kids. And I was looking for a profession that really wasn't going to be subject to layoffs. And that was part of my motivation. And so I looked into the police department and the fire department and realized that the police department was more of a quasi-military organization, which is what I was used to. So that's when I started with the Wilmington, Delaware Police Department and did 5.5 years there before I moved to Florida. So that's how I got into it. Can't hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I don't know what it is with that screen. So we like I said before, backstage, one of the cameras went down on me, and I guess I did something else too. So we're just gonna drive on. We're gonna move forward with it. We're gonna work things out later on, and hopefully we'll get things back up and running. But as you said, so you got in police work after getting into the Navy for a few years, and you worked in Wilmington, Delaware for 5 years or so. What kind of capacities have you done as you rose through the ranks of with police departments?
Well, in the 5.5 years I was at Wilmington, I was a field training officer, a member of the SWAT team.
Okay.
I came to Florida to visit. It happened to be my wife's best friend. And we were going to go to Disney like everybody that comes to Florida does. But they live in Spring Hill. So I just kind of noticed that, the cars were in the driveway. And the area was so nice and neat and clean. And there wasn't a lot of commercial yet or anything. And I said, this was a nicer place for my to grow up in rather than the city. So took a pay cut, but came down for those reasons. And that's when I started with Hernando. I was the third black deputy that they ever had in the agency.
Okay.
So that came with some challenges, as at just being a third black deputy and being from the North.
Mm.
So right now, I did 31 years there and rose to the rank of major, which in that organization there's only 2 majors, even though it's a 500-person organization.
I was just going to ask, how big is that department?
Yeah, it's over 500.
Okay.
And there's a major in charge of judicial, and there's one in charge of law enforcement operations. So I rose those ranks as a detective, district commander, SWAT team leader.
Okay.
I touched almost every aspect of the organization, and as the major of operations, if it had 2 feet, 4 feet, 2 wheels, floated or flew, I was in charge of that. Also the third in command of the entire organization. I also did a year as the Judicial Services Bureau Commander, which is also another major position. That was so I could learn the aspects and everything that's involved with running the jail, the courthouse, and any judicial services functions. So I did that year. So it kind of made me more well-rounded. So that's what I did while I was there.
Gotcha. So you've done a ton of different things while coming up through the ranks in few years in the police departments. CERT team, I'm sorry, SWAT teams. We call it CERT team here. SWAT teams, detectives. That is Jimmy Jamon said that's impressive. That is impressive. Field training officers, patrol, district commanders, rose to the rank to major. What's your current position now?
Well, I'm the chief of police here at the Port Richey Police Department. It's located in West Central Florida, within Pasco County. It's right on the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay. All right. And what's your part of your responsibilities there with this department?
Well, it's a smaller department. We have 17 sworn, 2 reserves, 6 dispatchers, and 3 professional staff. And coming from a agency of 500 and you come to an agency that's got less than 30, it is a transition, not only where you have less money to work with, but you get a lot of hats. But I think that makes for a better law enforcement officer, because you do a lot of the things that in a larger agency you would hand off to someone else to do, whether it's following up the case, whether it's doing the processing of evidence and things of that nature. So, the community is only around 3,000 people, and it covers about 3 square miles.
Oh, okay.
So and that doesn't include the waterfront. That's just, the commercial and the industrial portion of the city. We don't have a lot of crime. I'm not going to make up some stories that we do, because we don't, but we have an excellent reputation, support rather, from the community. So it's right now, when I first came, there was some issues, some perception issues, if you will. Not necessarily the making of the police department, but the city had some past issues that shined a bad light on the entire city and all the entities within it. So it's been a matter of trying to build back the reputation and the perception from outside of the police department, and we've been able to do that pretty well in these first 2 years.
Gotcha. Got a question on the table as well. Are you the first Black chief there?
Yes. I was blessed because 59 applicants applied for this position.
Oh, wow.
Across several states. And everybody wants to get out of the cold, so they come to Florida. Order, what could be better than that? And like I said, I was blessed to be chosen, and just so happened to be the first Black chief in the history of the.
Gotcha. And your locale there, is it more residential, or do people come down there to vacation as well?
Well, a little bit of both. It's more residential. We have condos on the water, we have homes on the water, and and the canals, and things like that. But on the other side of the major roadway, you have a lot. You do have residential, but you also have, that's where your commercial and your industrial sections of the city are.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this. And you've had a longer career than most. I know a lot of individuals I know do 20 to 25 years and then they get out with law enforcement. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you wanting to keep moving forward? What keeps you driving to still stay in law enforcement, especially during these perilous times that we have today with us?
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, it's what I was called to do when I really didn't know what it was that I wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
So I got into law enforcement. Um, I knew that's what I wanted to do to do my career, and I've had some ups and downs in my career.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, some not of my own making, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is still a noble profession.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the few that tarnish the badge and tarnish this profession is not a true representation of the men and women that do this job
Correct.
every single day and do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I continue to do it the right way, and that the men and women that work with me and for me do it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And when there were protests, we had one protest when Black Lives Matter came, and it wasn't because of the police department. It was because of a store owner who had put some less than flattering comments about that organization there. So they came to protest. I made contact with her, the leader of the organization. I said, I have no problems with you coming and exercising your First Amendment rights. I only ask that it remains civil and nonviolent. We will be there. We did have a counter protest on behalf of the business owner. We were able to keep things separate. We protected both sides, and that at the end of it, the young lady said, "You are the first agency that protected us," and they never came back to protest. So
Wow.
it's a matter of how you treat people that makes the job that much easier. It's never easy, but you can make it easier by the way you go about your business.
Very true. Very true. And it's very interesting too because it has a protest and have a peaceful resolution. And actually, a lot of people don't understand there as being a police officer, peace officer, whatever, however you want to feel it. You protect both sides of every the protest. You have a right to protest. You have a right to a peaceful protest, just as long as you're not being violent, as long as you are being civil, as long as you're not blocking sidewalks or street roadways that are designated for thoroughfare. So in the process of doing that, if you're protesting the proper way, you are subjected to legal protection as well.
Correct. That's how it works. We're very thankful for that. So.
Yes, absolutely. So throughout your career as well, and prior to your career, is there anyone who influenced you, or did you have any mentors throughout the course of your career?
Well, my biggest mentor was my mom, who I lost in 2014. She raised me, mother and father, because my father was in the Air Force and he passed away when I was 6. I really didn't get to know him that well. I did have some male figures within my life. My uncle was the pastor of our church.
Okay.
Some cousins that were in the military. So I had that aspect. I had strong male figures, but it was really my mother. And it's because she raised me to look at people for who they are and not what the color of their skin is. And if you're a good person, you're a good person. It doesn't matter whether it's what religion you follow, what your your socioeconomic status is,
Mm-hmm.
what your sexual orientation. None of that matters, um, as long as you're a good person. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, she also taught me to see through the nonsense and the false. Um, how could I put it? The way people act, and that's not truly who they are. To be able to see through that and address your how you deal with them accordingly. She followed the Martin Luther King um, kind of teachings. So I do. That was another, I would say, an influence of mine. And
Mm-hmm.
on my signature page or my emails, I have the quote: "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy."
Hmm.
That's kind of what I learned while I was in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Helped me in the military because you have to learn how to be calm, cool, and collected, um, no matter what the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout my career, I've always been known as being even keeled,
Mm-hmm.
and whether we're on a SWAT call or whether we're on a critical call, barricaded, anything like that, I'm always the same person, and I
Okay.
make decisions based upon the facts and circumstances and not the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
People have come to respect that, and they know what they're going to get out of me. So between my mother showing me how to deal with people and treat people, just as I raised my children the same way,
Mm-hmm.
and my experience in the military
Mm-hmm.
teach me to be that even keeled person and that calm person, and
Mm-hmm.
the teachings of Martin Luther King along with that. Um, that's I really did not have any particular supervisor during my career because, as I said, I
Okay.
was third black deputy. So a lot of things I had to learn on my own.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't things that I took from supervisors, whether they're good traits,
Mm-hmm.
bad traits. You learn from both, and then you form your own way of being leading. So I'm thankful for all of those experiences because it shaped me to be who I am.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's necessary. It's kind of like when you're starting out in the beginning with just this formless piece of clay, and you have your experiences through life, and you have your experiences just from situations that you've dealt with. You learn by doing, on the job training. Some supervisors, yes, some supervisors, no, but eventually it helps form you into the person that you are.
Right.
Gotcha, gotcha. Is there anything that throughout the course of your career that you would redo, or if you had the opportunity that you would do it differently?
I would have gotten my master's degree sooner, but that still worked out fine.
Mhm.
No, not really. And when I left the sheriff's office,
Mhm.
um, there were several people there, a lot of people actually, um, that wanted me to run for sheriff. Um,
Mm.
I earned that respect from them by the way that I treat them, and just like I was saying, how my mother taught me,
Mhm.
you treat people like adults, you treat them with respect, you do the right thing, and but you also want to hold them to a standard, um, but don't want to do anything you haven't done or you would.
Mhm.
So all those things, um, over the course of time, they wanted me to run for sheriff, uh,
Mhm.
but the sheriff was very popular, and it's very hard to beat an incumbent. So I said, you know what, my professional goal was to be the head of an organization. So I took that opportunity when it came, and again, I was blessed to be chosen for this position. But I really wouldn't change anything
Mhm.
because, again, all those experiences, the good, the bad, um, have shaped me to be in this position and to do the things that I'm doing now.
Gotcha. And again, being a black chief, how's the community support?
It's good. It was a little awkward at first, and then I don't think it had anything to do with my color.
Okay, your sound sounds like it's going in and out again.
Is it?
Ah, there you go. Yep, there you go.
As I was saying, I don't. It was a little awkward at first. The previous, but I don't think it had anything to do with the color. My color.
Okay.
The previous chief was popular within the community,
Uh-huh.
and he's popular within the organization. However, there were some issues with that because he's a nice guy. He had tons of experience in law enforcement, but none of it was in the supervisory position.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had no administrative knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of got in through a back door, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to fix things that have been wrong for more than 4 years.
Okay.
And, reestablishing the chain of command, for instance, accountability,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the guys are being proactive, and that I'm supporting them with new equipment and a lot of training and a lot of things. It took all those things to kind of get them on board, and because they liked the other guy because he let them do whatever they wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
So now you have someone coming in instilling some level of discipline and some direction.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a culture change that had to take place here.
Mm-hmm.
But the entire time, I had nothing but support from the community. They had, I guess, they had done their research, if you will, on me.
They knew what they were getting.
Research on them, the community, the city that is, and they realized that with all my experience, that it should be a good fit.
Okay.
So I haven't had any problems.
That's good. That's good. And right now, we're going to take a pause for the cause. We're going to show one of these commercials for Sergeant Be Safe. You guys stay tuned, and we will be right back with Chief Robinson. Sergeant Be Safe, and I'm here on patrol. And I just learned we had some unsavory characters come into town. Stay tuned, and I'll show you how to protect yourself from their wicked ways.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna like this city. Rob you blind here, and I'm here to cause total chaos.
Chance Wilder here, and I just snuck in town too. I'm here to scam you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you to have any interactions with these fiendish foes. So lock your doors around Rob You Blind, and don't fall for the scam from Chance Wilder, or should I say, Wild Chance.
Subscribe now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you. Welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Friday night. We are live with Black and Blue. Got a special guest. We've been talking about a little about his upbringing on various departments, about different functions that he worked in these departments. We have Chief Robinson on. He's the chief of police at Port Richey here in Florida. And we're going to continue on with the interview. If you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in. We're having fun right here. Black and Blue. Chief, you still here?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Thank you for staying online with us. We're having an intellectual conversation. Let me ask you a question here. You had 3 goals. Maybe you've accomplished them, maybe you haven't, throughout the course of your career. What are 3 major goals that you had And which one of those three is the most significant?
Well, I achieved my one goal, which was to be the chief of an organization. Um, and that's probably the most important of my professional goals. The second one is to make this agency the best agency that it can be.
Okay.
To have, we'd like to be able to try for accreditation within the next 2 to 3 years. Take a lot of work, but I don't do it all by myself. I have my staff. We've worked together very well over the last 2 years, and we've gotten a lot accomplished. As I said, fixing things from the past while we're trying to move forward and get the things and do the things that we need to do here in this agency. The third thing is again to instill the pride within the agency's personnel and make this a good place for them to work, a good place for other people who want to come and work. I'm not going to be here forever, but I want to lay that groundwork that we're moving in the right direction. It used to be where this agency was, if you can't get hired anyplace else, go to Puerto Rico, they'll hire you. Well, that is no longer the case. I've turned away many applicants because of too much baggage. Not that I won't take somebody a second chance. I just need to know and investigate why they're not at their present agency, or what the circumstances are. And with hiring, again, we're not hiring just anybody that puts in an application, whether they're dispatchers or they're support staff. They all do the prerequisites of the background investigation, the the drug and medical screening, but we reinstituted the polygraph and the psychological exam, which they had not been doing. I think that was a risk. Those instilling those is a risk mitigation, because you don't want someone here that's not fit to be here.
Absolutely.
Every time I hire somebody, I want it to be defensible. If down the road or something happens, I want to have my defense of why I hired this person. So those really are my three goals. Since I've been doing this so long, I really don't have those far-reaching goals anymore. So it's just those three, and to leave a lasting positive legacy for this agency whenever I decide to leave, and keep them moving in a positive direction that they're going in now.
Gotcha. And working toward accreditation, how daunting of a task is that?
It's been very daunting, because, like I said, the previous chief and a couple before him really didn't do the things to prepare us to move that way. We have been working on revising the policy manual for the entire 2 years that I've been here, because one of the chiefs, I'm not sure it was the third one back, fourth one, gone to another agency within the state that was accredited, took their policy manual, brought it over, and just changed the things. And as I'm looking through these things, I'm saying, we don't have that unit. Don't do this. If we don't do that, why is this here? So we have been going line by line on all of these policies for the past 2 years. And to policies such as the social media policy, because as you know, in law enforcement, that will get you hemmed up.
Yes, it will.
A thing here. They were doing, saving people's lives justifiably with Narcan, but there was no policy for its use. So just things like that. We've instituted the vehicle replacement plan. They never had that, so the fleet was aging. Then, of course, your vehicle maintenance goes over budget. It's just all the things that they were missing. There's good people here. I would say that there are a lot of good people here. They just need some direction. They need some discipline and some order. And in return, I'll give them everything that I can give them to make them successful, whether it's training, equipment, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Good answer. Thank you. Thank you. So let me ask you, in the state of the nation, as we're coming out of the beer virus, of course, and things kind of took a turn, and throughout this career, like we explained on the last show, it's very cyclic. Our career, sometimes we're deemed very heroic, and other times we're demonized, for lack of a better term, and it goes through these cycles. And I mean, I believe we're starting to come out of a cycle that we've been demonized, but we're still not heroic or seen as heroes in the eyes of the public. 21st century policing. What problems do you see with the public in the police department, and vice versa with the police departments and dealing with the public? And what challenges do you think we should face to make those changes even better, if so?
In 21st century policing, one of the 6 pillars, if you will, is the community policing aspect. And to me, the community policing aspect is really just old school policing.
Okay.
The cops walked the beat.
Mm-hmm.
They knew who the bad guys were. They knew who the citizens were, and they interacted with them. That communication was always there, and the citizens are more willing to provide the officer with that information.
Mm-hmm.
I think the major problem we have is that there are 2 sides.
Mm-hmm.
There should not be 2 sides of this issue, if you will. With the way things are, the way things were, everybody knows George Floyd was I would say that's the one where people of all colors said enough is enough. We've all been and familiar with Rodney King,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, I'm sorry, I can't, and there's countless others.
Mm-hmm.
There was always protest with those as well, but I think George Floyd kind of took it over the top, and justifiably so. And so it's been a challenge for us to try to regain that respect. And I think the problem is that if something happens, say in California, on the negative basis, it affects every law enforcement organization.
That is true.
Across the country, and that's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have built that relationship with your community, they know that those things don't happen within your community.
Right.
You don't have those problems. It seems to happen in the communities that already have an issue, a trust issue, a transparency issue. It just exacerbates the problem when things like this happen. We use social media. I don't overuse it, as some do, but we use it to keep the community informed of the things that we're doing, and I think that's an important part. An informed community is the best thing that you can have, because our officer employ the community policing concept, and just as I said once earlier, is that you treat people with respect, and most of the time you'll get respect back. Sometimes that's not going to work, but most of the times it will. So 21st century policing, there's the technological advances of like your ILPs and all these things to make it easier to communicate and keep your community informed. But it's face-to-face, person-to-person contact that has the most effect. So, as far as law enforcement, again, like I said, the problem that we have with public is that they don't really see how difficult a job this is. They see us as, I'm not going to use the word stormtroopers, but I am, that we're not being held accountable for
Mm-hmm.
use of force or also involve shootings.
Mm-hmm.
Rely on the immunity section to get away with stuff, which is not true. You've seen law enforcement officers be prosecuted. So it's not true all the time. And what people fail to realize, the public fails to realize, is that regardless if you love us or hate us, we swore an oath
Mm-hmm.
that we would lay our lives down to protect you. And 99% of the officers in this country will do that.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
The perception, the misperception that the public may have of us. So it's it's getting better, really. Um, but it still has a way to go.
Yeah, I agree. We got a question / comment on the table. It seems that you had a very successful career. Have you ever considered writing a book about your career to help those behind you to be as successful and do it right like yourself?
I haven't, and maybe that's one thing I regret about my career. There's so many experiences
Uh-huh.
that I wish that I have written down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would have been something I could have done. I've tried to, and I hate saying I so much because I didn't get here by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had people working with me, people supervising me, and people. All those experiences, all those interactions helped me get to where I am. But because I'm talking about me, I have to say I.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's I tried when I was there for 31 years. The sad thing is that I was the only black deputy to ever raise to reach sergeant. In the entire 31 years I was there.
Wow.
Which is sad. And I try to give guidance to and help those other black officers to move forward and advance.
Mm-hmm.
Some didn't want to. They liked what they were doing. I have no problem with that. Some were school resource officers and spent their career doing that, and some tried but weren't able to do well enough on the exams to be voted. So that was the one thing that I wish I would have happened before I left there. Now there's some black male officers there and black female officers, and I wish them the best. And I've always had an open door policy wherever I've been. Regardless of their race, they've always come to talk to me. They know that about me, and I've had that door open. They can call me or whatever they need because I'll always be there to answer. But yeah, as far as writing a book, I think it's a little late right now. But I wish I would have thought about that earlier.
It's never too late, and one of our sponsors is a one-way publishing. So if you ever think about it, you ever want to make that happen, they can make that happen for you.
Right.
All right. Oh, so yeah. Answer the questions about the policing with the public and police department, the interactions on some of the conflicts and things on basically treating people how they deserve to be treated and vice versa. It's a communication thing. And eventually, hopefully, we'll all get on the same accord and be able to at least function in a society, as well as knowing that, like you said, 99% of the police officers here in the United States of America really want to do a good job and really would actually lay down their lives to defend the citizens of this great nation. With that being said, how difficult is it for you? Well, you already stated earlier in the interview. How difficult is it for you to find qualified applicants throughout since the application pool has dropped significantly within the past couple of years? How hard is it to also keep your current officers motivated and retain them? And do you have any recruitment skills in trying to garner the youth to want to be in law enforcement as well? I know that's a big question.
Yeah. It's true. It's true that it's been a challenge nationwide to recruit people to become into this profession, and money is a factor. Money's always a factor, but the thing is, it's not only that. It's, you look at it from their perspective. Why am I going to risk my life, my health, and my financial security to do this job when I can make as much or more in the private sector? Having the negative atmosphere that we've experienced over the last few years is not helping with recruiting or retention. As you can see, daily you have large agencies losing hundreds of officers because of the atmosphere. But at the same time, just this past Monday, my former agency, Hernando, had started their own academy, and I'm on their advisory board. And they had a graduating class of, it was only 15, but it was their first ever academy class. So there are young men and women that still realize that this is a noble profession. It is still, but you have to have the drive and you have to have that staying power to deal with the things that are going to come at you. I've had them come in and not make it through the FTO program because they realize this is not what I thought it was. And I have respect for them because I'd rather have you do it then than to go on a road and put yourself in danger or your coworkers in danger because you're not really ready to do this job. As I mentioned earlier, I've had several, because of I've been blessed in that 31 years in the Tampa Bay area, I have a reputation in the law enforcement community, and it's helped me recruit people. I've had people come from my prior organization, both on the correctional side that are dual certified, and from the law enforcement side that put in applications to come. So we're full right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We're hiring another reserve officer on Monday. I'm going to swear her in.
Okay.
Former deputy in my prior agency. So that goes back to the way that you treat people. That they're willing to follow you. That makes my heart happy because I've always tried to treat people right. It comes back. So, as far as recruitment advice, we do social media, do Facebook, websites. We advertise at the academies, things like that. And then our officers are some of our biggest recruiters.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, again, if you changing the culture within, if you make them happy here, they're going to be happy on the road. And if they're happy on the road, they're going to have a good attitude and be able to recruit people. So it's coming full circle. It's hard for me I know my prior agency is having a lot of problems recruiting because they're down a lot of people. You just don't get that applicant pool. And when they do get applicants, there's always something within their background during the investigations that rules them out. A lot of agencies are becoming a little more lenient in some of those things because they're hurting. I've turned away people, even though we were short at a time, because I don't want to hire a problem I have to deal with.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, I when I hire somebody, I want it to be defensible. So I really don't have the same recruiting problems as some of the other organizations. I'm sure that's coming because we have 2 developments. If they go through, that will double our population.
Oh, wow.
So I will need to hire more people. and talk between the county and the city regarding annexing probably another 5 square miles into the city jurisdiction. So we have to hire some more at that point. So maybe at that point I'll run into those recruiting problems. Right now I'm doing well.
Good. And you talk about treating people right. And how do you feel that it goes with conflict resolution, as far as maybe inter office, interdepartment conflict resolution, or just conflict resolution and being on a call, or having to deal with someone coming to your office for a complaint, or just dealing with the public or anything like that?
Well, like most state law enforcement organizations, you know, if someone's having a problem and they don't want to talk about it with, you know, with their coworkers or with me or anything, we have EAP. We also have Cop Link. And again, like I said, I have that open door policy. If you want to talk, I'm always here for you. You can call me or at night. You know, at home, it doesn't matter. But when it comes as a small agency, one of the advantages is everybody knows everybody.
That is true, yeah.
So one officer may realize that another officer's not acting right, or there's something wrong. They have no issues with going to that person and saying, "Hey, man, what's going on? Is there something I can do? What's going?" You know, they can do that. So if they choose to divulge whatever it is they're going through and handle it that way, that's fine. Otherwise, we have the EAP again in the cop line. As far as the community, one of my goals when I got here was to have everyone CIT trained.
Yeah.
So again, another risk mitigation strategy, if you will, because if you know how to talk, some young people don't have that interpersonal skill.
Right. Now, I don't want to interrupt. For those of you that don't know what CIT is, crisis intervention training.
Right. And so that is originally for if you encounter someone having a mental crisis, how to deal with that person to solve the issue.
Right.
But you can use those same soft skills every single day and on every call that you go on. So I want to make sure everyone here was trained. And the only person that's not trained right now is the one gentleman in FTO, and he will be going as soon as he's done. So that helps us when we deal with a call for service or something, you know, in the public. We also we have a lot of training. Like I said, we have a lot of training, whether it's investigator training, patrol officer safety training. They're probably trained out by now, but I want them to be safe. I want them to go home at night the way they came to work. But we can handle most critical calls, and we do. But if it becomes something where a SWAT team may be needed on a barricaded subject or something of that nature, we have an MOU with the local sheriff's office to provide that SWAT service for us. So one of the other things that we had to do is to develop a critical call manual for our dispatchers. It didn't exist here. And because I want them to be able to have a guideline on how to handle these calls when they come in. So it's two parts. It's not just when the calls come in, our dispatchers now have something to refer to on how to answer these calls and what sources are available to them. And then you have the officers on the street that are responding to these calls with their CIT training, and so they work together.
Right. That makes it a perfect scenario for as peaceful of a solution that you can hope for. You're just you're stacking the pieces up in everyone's favor for it to be a positive outcome. Yeah. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we got Chief Robinson here. We're going to pause for the calls. Guys, check out Sergeant Be Safe in this commercial right here.
Settle down, class. I said settle down, now quiet.
Hey, it's Sergeant Be Safe.
Hi, class. Sergeant Be Safe here.
Hi, I'm Kasaya. I'm the class speaker for the day. Here's my list of questions. Why did you want to become a police officer?
I wanted to become a police officer to help out people and kids like you.
How long have you been a police officer?
A little over 15 years now.
How did you become a police officer?
I had to get good grades in school, and I graduated from the police academy.
Why do you like being a police officer?
Because it's the type of job where every day could be different.
The kids had a great time. Thank you for visiting with us, Sergeant Be Safe.
I'm glad to hear it. I had a great time too. Now you guys go and be safe.
Subscribe now.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys are liking these Sergeant Be Safe videos. They're a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to make. Like I said before, I am looking for voice talents for the voiceovers. So if you are interested, website is scrolling below. Check out the website, send me a message, and we'll see what we can do. But without further ado, we have Chief Robinson from Port Ricky. I believe I was saying it wrong the entire time. Port Ricky Police Department in Florida. We just had a great interview with him. Chief, you still here? There we go. He's back, bringing him back on the screen. Hey, Chief, I know through the course of our conversation, we discussed a lot of wonderful things, and your memory may have been jogged, or I may have forgotten to ask a certain question. Is there anything that you would like to discuss with us right now? Right now, the floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I just like to say that we're very fortunate to have a good relationship and support with our community. Here, I mentioned that it was in need of a culture change and bringing in a culture of accountability, professionalism, honesty, and trust, and strive to maintain that and keep the agency moving forward. You take those core values and you combine them with direction, some internal collaboration, and forthright leadership, this agency will move in a positive direction. Have for the first time since I've been here, because of COVID and some other things, my first call a chat with the chief, and that's going to be next month at one of the restaurants. And I've been wanting to do it. But, you know, although the major COVID pandemic is over, there's still those strains that keep popping up. And so I've kind of put it on the side, but we're finally going to go ahead and get that done next month. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. So I hope that is very successful for you. I hope you have a lot of fun doing it. I know it kind of been something you're looking forward to. So next month will be a good venture to get out there. And what's it called? Chat with a Chat and Chew. What did you say it's called?
I just named it Chat with the Chief because it's going to be at our local Culver's restaurant. I don't think they have coffee there, so it's not going to be coffee with a cop or anything like that. So I had to come up with something, and so that's what I came up with.
Cool. Well, I hope it's very successful and informative for you.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we had a wonderful interview. Chief, again, I appreciate you donating your time to have this interview to get to learn about you and your history. and throughout I'm sorry, I get tongue tied. Throughout the course of your career, getting to learn about your agency right now, the way you function, and just seeing how police officers work differently and the same throughout our nation. Because like we like to drive home, we are people too. We have ups and downs in our own personal lives, but we do strive and work hard to make life better for not only ourselves but everyone else when we're at work and when we're not working as well. We want everyone to have a peaceful interaction and a wonderful life. Actually,
I agree.
absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys tune in next week. We will have another guest on the show right here at Black and Blue. This is Coach Clee coming at you. We just interviewed Chief Robinson. We had a wonderful time, had a wonderful interview. You guys be safe. Keep the comments coming. Make sure you guys check out the website. Make sure the website for Port Ricky is in the comment section as well. So if you have any questions or you want to check it out, make sure you guys do that as well. But right now we are going to sign off. You guys have a wonderful night. Peace.
Thank you.